Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chaotic Entertainment. I'm your host, Dan, and in today's video, I try to live the settler's life in Rimworld. I did the tutorial in my last video, and since then, I've done a lot of research on this game. I did a quick practice run on easy mode to get the controls on lockdown, and now the UI doesn't look completely insane to me. A lot of you left some pretty helpful comments in the last video as well, something I made sure to keep in mind as I played. Especially this one left by a 4-year-old. A very troubled 4-year-old. I felt like I was finally ready to try the full game. I'm still using only the base version so I can get a feel for the intended experience. No DLC, and the only mod I'm using is Ogre Stack, which increases the capacity of every stack. Otherwise, we're going as vanilla as it gets. I loaded up the map and decided to drop into the mountainous regions of the forest. My brother laughed when I told him that. I didn't know why at the time. I know now. Just know every day I live in fear. The spot was selected, and I was given my choice of colonists. There was Peck, a slave-turned-miner, Hansrime, a prestigious cosmetic surgeon, and last but not least, Noble, a child with severe violent tendencies. In addition to having terrible stats, she also specialized in hating other women, to the point that she sold herself into slavery. Of course, all of these, unique specimens were nothing compared to the group mascot, Nichols the Husky. He was perfect in every way. He even gave my colonists the nuzzle buff. Why did no one ever tell me to play this game? My settlers sprang into action as soon as they landed. First, they hauled whatever I could steal salvage from the ship into a neat little pile. While my survivors worked, they were being observed by a nearby creature. They were being watched by a cougar, and not the hot single kind that are in your area. But that was fine. Mountain lions are known for being soft, gentle creatures who value pacifism and harmony. Letting it wander around my 3 nearly defenseless colonists seemed perfectly safe. Construction on our base began as soon as possible. My house in the first video was the home version of that windowless van in your neighborhood. My new base was exactly the same, just bigger. A lot bigger. I don't know if you know this, but every square foot of land raises your property value. Once a shed gets big enough, it kinda stops mattering how many kids you found in the basement. I managed to get the beds built for all of my colonists on the first day. Everyone got together and slept in their big living room kitchen bathroom. When morning came, the unthinkable happened. The cougar was mauling Nichols. I'm not sure how letting a wild predator roam around my base went so wrong, but that's besides the point. Nichols was the only colonist I cared about, and I decided I needed to send a message to the rest of the animals on the map. Touch my fucking dog, and you get to take my butcher table for a test ride. I decided to build a bunch of barricades around the outside of my base. In addition to the waist-high walls, I decided to put a bunch of spike traps around. I never really used these before, mostly because I wasn't sure if non-hostile creatures would trigger them or not. But this meant raiders were allowed to wander around my land for the low, easy price of both of their kneecaps. As luck would have it, 2 lucky volunteers from a local friendly covenant came through and decided to test that for me. They walked around my traps and the game decided they were allowed to keep all their toes. I bought 24 silver worth of food, which made them like me. So much so that they left 87 bucks under my pillow. It turns out the tribesmen of Bjarl don't understand currency. But that's fine. The best kind of idiot is a useful one. And now, I had a whole tribe of them. Another day passed, and the time had finally come to name my faction. Don't ask why I chose this. It seemed like a cool name at the time. It's not a phase mom, I swear. Everything was pretty quiet after that. My base was expanded, and I started building a storeroom to keep all my stuff in. A meteor made out of pure silver crashed next to my house. A normal day in the life of Rimworld. Then, alarm bells. Haruto's spears had sent a wild man to attack my base. A sailor named Soto had stripped naked and decided to rush my defenses with a combat knife. Unfortunately, though, we have guns. I'm not really sure what motivated these people to send this naked, unarmored man to go attack my front line like this. Especially when I was surprised to find out he was actually a genius. This meant that instead of being killed and used to make furniture, he'd be captured and tended to. I converted my brand new storage room into a makeshift hospital, complete with 1 whole bed and all the rocks he could eat. It turns out that the hollowed out side of a mountain is the ideal place to treat gunshot wounds. Completely sanitary and sterile. It really made me question why everyone told me I needed to make floors or wash my hands. Soto was in my safe, gentle care and would be recruited into my ranks. While that was happening, I built a research bench and started growing crops outside of my house. Soto looked kind of bored, so I gave him a dresser to play with. I don't fully understand how patient care works, but I do know taking the blood out of him was pretty easy, so putting it back in would just be the same but in reverse, right? After a luxurious stay in Rimworld's newest crack den, Soto was charmed into joining my group. Word spread about my illustrious care facilities, and soon, a new colonist was asking us for help. McKinney, a veterinarian. His loyalty came with a cost, however. A naked man with male-pattern baldness was chasing him with a prison shiv. He was named after nature's most tenacious and fearsome predator, the wombat. We stopped the naked man's rampage, but not before he was able to stab the ever-loving shit out of Noble. It turns out Wombat's combat knife was rated E for everyone, including children. It's fine, nothing a power nap and a band-aid won't fix. McKinney was so grateful for the help that he tried to force-feed her an entire raw turkey as a way of saying thank you. It was a kind gesture, but food poisoning would complicate Noble's recovery. Salmonella is the gift that keeps on giving, so I made him go do something else. Peck decided that if raw poultry wasn't on the menu, then forcefully shoving Wombat's entire body down Noble's throat was probably the way to go. It was around this time I began to realize something vital about the people in this game. Colonists are completely fucking brain dead. I wasn't a fearless leader, I was a daycare worker trying to keep these adult-sized toddlers from chugging the glue. A childhood of eating lead paint and running headfirst into walls was the only explanation I could find for these people's behavior. The next evening, Haruto's Spears decided to try another raid on my house. They sent a naked man with a knife to charge my walls the first time. That didn't work. So what if instead we tried a naked woman? I'll admit, I was proud of my colonists. Despite all my doubts, they resisted the raiders' 50-year-old floppy memories and defended their home. Her stuff was taken inside and her corpse was added to my growing pile. To celebrate my victory, the game decided to give me a boomalope. Yes, my reward for survival was the gift of a large, eating, crapping, walking oil tank that could demolish my entire house if it died near me. It was both a danger and a risk that would threaten everything I'd ever built. On the other hand, it costs $50 to fill my gas tank right now, so I built him a pen and kept him. Way down here. I expanded the northern parts of my base to make a presentable research lab. With real tiles for floors and brick walls, it would be perfect. Except for this, just ignore that. That's fine. Walling off your problems is the healthiest way to go through life, don't question it. Another alarm was called. I was being raided again 2 days after the last one. The White Sound Pact was planning a daring assault on my walls. Nobencam, a tribal animal handler with a crippling drug addiction, was monitoring my defenses. Rather than wait for the ambush, I decided to take the fight to her. It turns out that wasn't a great idea. Nobencam had those crack addict hands. Her PCP-riddled body just ate my bullets like they were candy. She finally went down, making me realize I could really use someone like her in my colony. I dragged her off to the clinic, now featuring actual floors and absolutely no light fixtures. It really felt like I finally had everything under control, until Peck decided to feed Nobencam an entire dead boar. He didn't even skin it first. I stopped him, only for Soto to step in and try to do the same. 2 colonists were now drafted to protect my prisoner from being forced to eat raw pork. Hansreim, a trained doctor, saw no issue with this and tried to finish what the other 2 started. All within 10 feet of a butcher block and a stove. I couldn't tell if they were trying to poison or punish the poor woman for attacking their house. I can tolerate organ harvesting and human leather ponchos, but I draw the line at whatever this was. I forced Hansreim to butcher and cook the animal before the woman's insides could be filled with parasites. Just in time for McKinney to step up and take his place. All right, stop that! What is actually wrong with you people? I cooked all of the raw food. I don't know how my colonists made themselves worse than the raiders, but I'm sure Nobencam got the message. As an apology for the crappy stay, I just left her a pair of pants I had lying around. I built a generator and an air cooler. Now, whenever my colonists tried to feed my prisoners raw meat, at least it wouldn't be room temperature. Things were okay, except for the fact that my colonists were slowly starving to death. I started harvesting as many berries as I could, a plan that was cut short when Noble started having a complete mental breakdown. After making my shelter somehow look even worse, she made the decision to just get over it and have a snack. At the table she just got done breaking. And instead of apologizing and fixing the damage, she decided that all looked a lot like not her problem and went to sleep. I need you to understand something, Noble. That's a very bold decision for someone made of valuable organs. I didn't have a chance to discipline that behavior out of her, though. She went out to forage again and was immediately mauled by a lynx. For those who aren't aware, raiders and starvation aren't the only threats your colonists face. Nature itself bends all reality to punish you for the crime of existence, unlike the lynx, who punished Noble for the crime of resisting. We killed the animal and dragged Noble back to bed. I've never seen one person put this much strain on a small nation's medical system. I'm still not sure how she never lost any of those fingers. We finally had a moment of peace until I was made aware of some extremely troubling news. Someone made the unfortunate decision to reproduce with Peck. Another living being had chosen to further pollute humanity's gene pool and procreate with this man. He had a daughter named Vex, who had been abducted by marauders. They were heavily armed, and if I failed to rescue her, there was no telling how hard Peck would spiral. I had a very hard decision to make. Would I leave her in the loving, capable hands of several armed madmen out in the middle of the wilderness? Or would I risk life and limb to bring her home? I don't have the answer, but that's fine. That's a problem for next video. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I can't believe how much fun Rimworld is. I'm excited to make more videos on this game, and I can't wait to see what comes next. I'd also like to welcome our 1,500 subscribers. You're all amazing, and now my life almost feels like it has meaning. A huge shout out to all the new folks on my Patreon. You guys make it possible for me to make videos like this. I don't say it enough, but getting to put people's names in the credits is easily my favorite part of doing all of this. Really makes it feel like I'm almost good at what I do. Thank you all again, and I'll see you all next time. If only everyone knew how many takes that took. If only. I've been here for 56 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this.